Yes, well, I think this is a very sober situation, and we are indeed in very complicated, a very difficult geopolitical environment where the military threats have persisted actually since 1996 or 95, the moment I had just described when we were having our first ever presidential election. And China has not renounced the use of force. In fact, they have been utilizing their expanded and actually rapidly expanding military strength to assert themselves in a very aggressive way, not only towards Taiwan, but as we are seeing towards our neighbors, towards Japan, the Philippines, and the South China Sea, and they're positioning their military even in Africa, Djibouti, and other parts of the world. You mentioned another very important aspect, and that is hybrid warfare. And I know you have quoted Sun Tzu in the Art of War, and how part of Chinese philosophy is an attempt to subdue the enemy without fighting. And so they have also devised a number of hybrid war tactics, psychological warfare, cognitive warfare, disinformation, the use of cyber attacks, and political manipulation, infiltration in our political system, many tools to try to coerce our society, to try to instill fear in our society into submission. And that is an ongoing. This is already happening. It is, Taiwan society is one of the most highly attacked societies in the cyberspace in the world. And let me just give you some examples that maybe American people can also relate to, and that is a few years ago when I was living in Washington, D.C., there was a Colonial Pipeline incident where a cyber attack paralyzed the delivery of oil and gas to many American homes and families and cars. And it was during COVID-19, so many people were working at home, but think about the impact that can have on travel and on your working and on the economy. And more recently, we've seen in Europe also cyber attacks on airports, on flight controls. And I was in Brussels a few weeks ago, and prior to that, there were drone presence in the Brussels airport also generated lockdowns or close downs and suspension of flights, and really disrupting the normal pattern of life for people in that region. And so I think we are seeing these tactics now appear in many parts of the world, and we are seeing our security affected, our lives affected by these hybrid forms of attack. In Taiwan, we've also seen this too. We've seen repeated attacks in our medical system, our hospitals, in our critical infrastructure, in government institutions, and this is certainly an ongoing situation. But beyond that, it's the psychological warfare.